Hi, I'm Ross O'Brien with the Economist Corporate Network in Hong Kong. We've just had our regional operating cost update meeting, and I'm here with my speakers, Ed Farrelly from CBRE and Amanda Green from Effective Solutions. I'm just going to do a wrap-up of the morning's key findings. Ed, we talked a lot about how regional managers are not going to see their property price pain ease much, but do you see some shifting dynamics in terms of the supply levels in the region and some difference in various regions in terms of where supply levels are going, particularly between Singapore and Hong Kong?
Yeah, I think so, Ross, and I think this is a major issue on a regional basis now, what occupiers are going to do and what they're looking at. Occupiers are looking at the bottom line. Now, what they are doing at the moment, I think, is considering alternatives to the top price space. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody's going to move away from this prime space, whether it be in Hong Kong, in Singapore, or some of the Chinese cities. But I think certainly they are weighing up the alternatives. Now, some of them will move to alternative space, but that will create vacancy, perhaps in the central CBD areas, for other high-margin businesses to move in. They will have to pay the top whack, but it will make sense it will be perfectly logical for them to do so, because they have to be there. So I think what we're talking about now is a change in the occupier base. Now, part of that, on a Hong Kong basis, for example, we will see companies moving from central to other areas, but at the same time, other high-margin businesses going back into central as space is freed up. Let's not forget, space is very, very tight now. There is a wider issue that some companies are looking at Singapore.
And in that disparity, do you see relative rates of increases declining more in Singapore because of that market's ability to add more capacity over the next few years relative to Hong Kong, which, as you pointed out in the presentation this morning, isn't really putting a lot in the pipeline over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think the market dynamics are quite different between the two, between Hong Kong and Singapore. And Singapore now on the rental issue, I don't actually see anything significant regarding in rents dropping away.
Okay.
What we may see is for a price stability going forward. But I think this space that's coming onto the market in Singapore, certainly in the long term, is going to benefit the market.
Yeah.
They're going to attract large companies, and large companies will weigh up the options. Do we need to be in Hong Kong? Do we need to be in Singapore? Some of them have to be in Hong Kong, perhaps because of our relationship with China. Others will think, well, maybe even back office, they can shift to Singapore. So I think there is a trade between the two markets, but certainly I think that the space that's coming onto the market in Singapore is not detrimental to the market going forward. I think actually it is a big plus. Hong Kong, in fact, could do with some of this space.
Okay. And on the other side of the cost coin is, of course, talent, which everyone whinges about getting more and more expensive, and everyone increasingly, as today's meeting shows, is concerned about getting support from global headquarters for the talent acquisition program that they need. How do regional managers mitigate those challenges, Amanda?
Well, they need to be quite clear with their head offices in London or New York or wherever what the consequences are, and paying the financial impact of losing employees or not hiring employees or not spending time with employees. So I think they need to be more assertive. Mm-hmm. I think they need to also understand that the impact of some of the decisions made elsewhere, employee engagement can suffer because of those, and they need to be very proactive and acknowledge what is good in the organisation and help employees to make life easier for them.
Now, in the future, we spoke a lot about the challenges of the current situation. In the future, how do you see the role of the senior executive in Asia changing with regard to the ongoing talent management process?
Yeah, they need to not think it's HR's job. It's
okay.
Every leader's job. They need to talk to their employees, understand what makes them tick, because it's not just money. Money is important, yes, but if you've met the salary basics, then it's about creating the connection with the individual, understanding them, and taking away the daily frustrations.
Right. Thanks. Ed, Amanda, thank you very much for your time. I'm Ross O'Brien for the Economist Corporate Network in Hong Kong. Have a good day.